This is CBC Here and Now.
Once fully vaccinated, your NL VaxPass is your proof of protection, not just for yourselves, but for others as well. So please utilize this tool to allow us to continue a new life.
The province's vaccine passport program starts tomorrow.
What you can and can't do without the vaccine.
Well, Eastern Newfoundland can say goodbye to the nice weather for the next couple of days. Wind and rain on the way through the weekend.
The cost to fill up one of these is going to be a lot more expensive than it was last year. I'm Jeremy Eaton, and I'm going to talk about the impact that's going to have coming up on Here and Now.
Welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Anthony Germain. The province has unveiled its vaccine passport, and we'll get to that in just a moment.
Yes, but first, the latest COVID numbers. There are 7 new cases of COVID-19 today and a record high number of people in hospital because of the virus. 5 of the new cases are in central Newfoundland, 2 in eastern Newfoundland, and there are 3 other presumptive positive cases. 16 people are now in hospital, 7 of them in critical condition, and that's a record high for this province since the pandemic began. Meanwhile, the outbreak on the Baie-Verte Peninsula is easing, so public health has reduced restrictions to alert level 2, effective immediately. And we now have details about the province's vaccine passport. In 2 weeks, you'll need that passport if you want to eat in a restaurant, get your hair cut, or visit someone in a long-term care home. So how will this work? Here and Now's Peter Cowan is here to explain. So Peter, let's start with the basics. How will you prove that you're vaccinated?
Well, Carolyn, there's basically 3 ways you can do it. The preferred way is an app on your phone. The app is called VaxPass NL. It's going to be available tomorrow morning to download it, and you'll put in your health card number and some other details, and what you'll get is this. It's a QR code. It's like a fancy barcode. It's on your phone. The business you're visiting is going to scan this barcode, and it'll give a green if you're allowed in or red if you're not. Now, if you don't have a phone, you'll be able to print it off online, and you can have a paper copy like this one. They've even got little wallet-sized cards you can print off as well. If you don't have access to the internet, you can go to the library, they'll help you, or call a 1-800 number and they'll send you a paper copy by mail. If you are vaccinated elsewhere or you're a visitor to the province, you don't need a code. You can just show your vaccine record from your own province, and that'll prove that you're able to get in. So let's take a look at where you'll need it. Restaurants, bars, indoor entertainment, bingo, movie theaters, personal services, so that's like a haircut or a tanning salon, car dealerships, sports and arts activities, arenas, gyms, fitness facilities, as well as any sort of large gatherings that are organized by businesses or organizations. So that could be like a wedding or a funeral. If you want to go to a senior's home to visit, you're going to need to prove that you're vaccinated, but residents won't need to have a vaccine in order to live there. Let's look at where you won't need to prove that you're vaccinated. So regular retail stores, grocery stores, schools, taxis, any sort of public transit, healthcare facilities. If you want to go into a hotel or go do your banking, you will not need to prove that you are vaccinated. Religious gatherings are going to have a bit of a choice. So the preferred thing is the government would like them to require people to be vaccinated, but if they don't want to go that route, they're going to have some restrictions. They can only operate at 50% capacity, no singing is allowed, and they're going to have to maintain physical distancing between parishioners. Now, you can start using the app tomorrow, but you're going to have to start using it on October 22nd. That's the deadline. Now, in order to be considered fully vaccinated, you're going to have to be 2 weeks after your second dose. So that means anyone getting their second shot after today, it's going to be too late. You're going to face those restrictions. The Premier says they gave plenty of warning this was coming, so people had a chance to get ready.
We've socialized it. We've said it in the media availabilities, and then we consulted. And so we think we've given people ample time to recognize that this is coming, and we feel that a 2-week phase-in period is appropriate.
Now, it's up to businesses to figure out who and how they're going to check people's vaccination status, and the government isn't providing any sort of extra help with that. But today, the head of the St. John's Board of Trade says its members are supportive of the passport, especially if it prevents needing to close down in the future.
Having vaccinated people in our businesses will allow us to keep our doors open. So, there is There's going to be a learning curve, and as the Premier alluded to, there are a number of things that we've had to, that have been disruptive. This will be one, but I have to give tremendous credit to our members that we're hearing from and have been engaged with are very keen to do what's required to successfully implement this.
Now, it's not just customers. People working at those businesses are going to need to be vaccinated, but they're going to have until probably around December 1st before that has to happen. More details on that are expected next week when the province announces the details on requirements for civil servants to be vaccinated. Anthony?
All right, thank you, Peter. That's Peter Cowan reporting live in our newsroom. Well, a person in Bishops Falls says her views on vaccines have changed. Louisa Higgins and her family were hesitant to get vaccinated, but now her mother and stepfather are both on ventilators in the hospital, and she doesn't know if they're going to pull through. Higgins hopes her family's story will be a lesson for other people in the province.
I know that people have their own opinion on the vaccine, and I respect that. But in saying that, if you don't get the vaccine and you do end up with the virus, you probably will be in the same situation that my mom and my stepdad is in. They're in the hospital, they're on life support, and they're fighting for their lives. So I'm just asking, please, go get your vaccine so you don't be in the same situation that we are in.
Louisa Higgins spoke with Peter Cowan from her home in Bishops Falls, and we'll have more of that conversation coming up in about 20 minutes on Here and Now.
Another lovely day today. Temperatures not quite as warm as we saw yesterday, but still beautiful. 14 degrees in St. John's today, 15 in Badger. Those temperatures, though, now in the single digits up across Labrador. Happy Valley Goose Bay topped out at about 9 degrees earlier today. We do have an area of low pressure just offshore right now. Otherwise, high pressure generally dominating the weather. Some clouds are moving in, and that will generally be the story as we head through the night tonight. We're looking at some periods of rain developing and a low pressure system developing as well that is going to rapidly intensify as we head through the day tomorrow and into Saturday, and that is prompting some warnings. Wind warnings right now for the Avalon as well as the Bonavista Peninsula. We're looking at those winds ramping up tomorrow night, continuing through Saturday, and even some gusty winds through Sunday, but we could see those wind gusts upwards of 80 to 100, maybe even 120 kilometers per hour in some of those exposed areas, and also some special weather statements. High tide and some of that pounding surf could lead to some coastal flooding. I'll get into all those details when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, a hunter shot another hunter in the woods near Red Indian Lake near Millertown. The 103 Squadron took this video of the rescue. Police received a call yesterday morning that two men were hunting when one accidentally shot the other. A stretcher was used to hoist the seriously injured hunter aboard a chopper. Search and rescue flew to Corner Brook to transfer the man to a waiting ambulance. The RCMP is investigating.
In other news, the price of gasoline in this province was already at an all-time high, and overnight it went up again, more than 4 cents a litre this time. It now costs $1.59 a litre for unleaded gasoline on the Avalon. The maximum price of diesel fuel on the island went up too by more than 9 cents per litre, while parts of Labrador rose by almost 5 cents. And it seems whether you're a delivery driver or an oil and gas worker, people at the pumps agree gas prices are hitting the pocketbook hard.
Well, I work in the oil and gas industry, and I just don't really understand why the prices are so high for a province that produces our own. So it's a 90 litre tank and I'm paying $130, $140 to fill it up from empty. Just don't understand it.
Even with my small car, I only put like $20 in it because now it'll cost like $60 to fill it up, and before I could usually get $40 to fill up my tank, so as a student it's becoming unaffordable.
I feel it's ridiculous because I do delivery, right? And because of that, it's very hard to know, you know? Like gas price, you know? It's crazy. It's not good for delivery drivers. It's really bad. Like for us, it's really bad.
Gas is a necessity. It's not a luxury, I think. It's about over $100 a week, which is a lot more than I used to spend. I mean, I wouldn't want to spend more than $65, $70 a week. I do a fair bit of running around, not a whole lot, but so it's a lot of money per week to pay.
I don't know, for young people, it's nuts. For people going to MUN or just working minimum wage jobs, trying to make a living, it's really hard. Even with a rig like this, which is, say, used to be $50, $40 to fill up, now it's like $60, $70. And for people that travel, say, back and forth to home, which might be out the bay somewhere, it gets really expensive.
Well, meanwhile, the cost of propane and furnace and stove oil also increased overnight, and that's a worry for some who rely on oil for their heating. Last year, those people paid about 60 cents a liter, and today that price is over $1. It's a jump that has some already dreading the cold months of winter. Here Now's Jeremy Eaton has that story.
While the weather may still be warm now, soon people are going to be relying on oil heat to heat up their homes. But the price this year is a lot more expensive than what we were paying in 2020. And that's going to affect two groups of people a lot: seniors and students.
Well, I think it's going to be devastating for students.
While the sun may have been warming up campus today, the cold, harsh reality of winter will make things a little frosty for students.
Students are living in rental units, and these units are often older houses, and they don't have a lot of control over that. And a lot of students are also in a situation where they're paying their own utilities. So the rise of heating costs is going directly out of their pocket. So that is a huge, huge concern for students.
The 40% jump per liter on home heating oil means tightening an already shoestring budget.
Students don't have spare funds. Students are operating, under every penny they can throw at this. So whether that's a combination of student loans, credit card loans, things like that, changes to that budget are very, very difficult to grapple with.
At the other end of the age demographic, similar concerns.
You're caught between a rock and a hard place, basically, with regard to your living and your expenditures. I mean, the budget, throw that out because, you just can't afford the heat. You're going to huddle in some kind of a blanket.
It's not just home heating oil. It's the price of gas, the price of food, the cost of rent as well, meaning making harsh, heartbreaking decisions.
So they've gone down to the rotten choices. You hear food and rent and gas and heating and turning things down so you can have some toast. And I hear that here. I mean, that's how impoverished people are. And it's going to be brutal, and it's undeserved, and it just makes me very sad.
While students and seniors worry about paying the bills, there seems to be no break in sight, making this a harsh, cold winter long before the ground has even frozen. Jeremy Eaton, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, if you're driving on the Trans-Labrador Highway, the provincial government has a program to help keep you safe. You can take a satellite phone free of charge to call for help if necessary. But there is a problem. More than half of those phones have gone missing. Rob Antle has this CBC Investigates story.
Raj Dulala likes exploring different countries and different places. That's why he and his wife ended up driving north from Massachusetts this summer to traverse the Trans-Labrador Highway. He availed of a free satellite phone provided by the province, picking it up in Wabush, dropping it off more than 1,100 kilometers later in Lancy-Clare. Thankfully, he didn't need it, but was glad it was there given the lack of cell coverage for long stretches.
There was no service whatsoever. And there were areas that we did not see anybody for hours on end. It was a great safety net to have.
There are locations across Labrador where you can pick up one of those phones before you get on the highway. But internal government documents show there's a problem keeping the phones in stock. More than half of the original 80 have disappeared. Last fall, the Transportation Minister got a briefing note about the issue. It advised that there are gaps in the documentation collected when phones are signed in and out. That basically means there's a challenge to locate missing units, and it also makes it hard to seek reimbursement. It's not clear what, if anything, the province is doing about all of this. The Transportation Department declined to make anyone available for an interview about the current status of the program. Rob Antle, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
All right, it's weather time, and it was a glorious day in St. John's today. Lots of sunshine. It was nice and warm, but tomorrow that's changing. When is all the messy weather going to get going tomorrow?
Yeah, so we're going to start to see that rain move in tonight for most of the west coast, and then eventually towards the morning hours for the east. But yes, it'll be a little bit messy. Hopefully you enjoyed those temperatures today. Let's take a look at them. Well, at least the current temperatures right now did reach the mid-teens earlier today. 12 degrees in St. John's, same thing pretty much across the board, a little warmer down towards St. Lawrence, and then again those single-digit temperatures across Labrador. There's that area of low pressure just offshore, high pressure generally dominating, but we are starting to already see some of those showers make their way towards the south coast, picking them up a little bit on this satellite, but if I show you this one, you can see it a little bit better down along the southwest. So this cloud cover will continue to move in, as will that chance of showers. The future tracker showing that fairly well through the night tonight. Some periods of rain will develop as well. Then I've been talking about the chance of some wet snow for northern and central Labrador for the past couple of days. Does look like that's still on tap for tonight. Mainly in some of the higher elevations is likely where you could see that, but it could make it to the surface as well. And then those periods of rain will continue as we get into the morning hours as you head a little bit further east as well. So temperatures tonight hovering in and around 1 to 7 degrees across the board. Cooler though for Lab City. You'll go down a couple of degrees, about 3-4 degrees below zero tonight. And those winds will generally be light for most of us. That won't be the story as we head through the day tomorrow. That's when those winds are going to start to ramp up because the area of low pressure that's developing is going to deepen tomorrow and intensify. And when that happens, we see some stronger winds. So periods of rain, the story for most of the afternoon for the island. Some showers through central western areas as well. You'll probably see some sunshine late day or as the sun starts to set. And then some showers for southeastern Labrador as well. But eventually things will start to quiet down. However, we're going to hang on to that rain for most of eastern Newfoundland through the night and into Saturday morning as well. Temperatures tomorrow, much different than what we're seeing today. The reason for that northerly flow back up with those winds gusting anywhere from 50 to 70 kilometers per hour. That will be in and around the supper hour. As you head towards the west coast, those temperatures a tad warmer, but your winds still out of the north as well. Not quite as high, gusting anywhere from 30 to 50 kilometers per hour. And then single-digit story up across Labrador. Still going to hang on to that chance of flurries in the morning for you for central Labrador, but then it should change over to rain as the day goes on. As far as the rainfall amounts go, this is just one model's projection. Some of the models are flirting with 50 plus millimeters of rain, so we could see some rainfall warnings issued maybe tomorrow if the agreement starts to come in or if the models start to agree a little bit better. But we are looking at through tomorrow and Saturday morning, locally heavy rain possible, certainly for the Avalon. About 30 to 50 millimeters is a good bit through Saturday morning. A little bit less as you head towards the south coast. You're looking at about 20 to 30 millimeters of rain. But it's really those winds that are the story. And that will be the story. Friday night is when we'll start to see those winds ramp up. Like I said, by 10:30, we're already likely seeing some gusts between 80 to 90 kilometers per hour. And then as we go forward in time, Saturday night, looking like the heaviest winds will stay offshore at this point, but still looking at gusts 100, 110 kilometers per hour. Some of the exposed areas may see some winds a little bit higher than that. But that will generally continue through the day on Saturday with those gusts generally between 90 to 100 kilometers per hour. And then towards central, even seeing those gusts 60 to 80. West coast not really going to see too much in the way of winds, maybe gusting to 60, but that's about it. And then even into Sunday, looking at those wind gusts upwards of 60 to 80 kilometers per hour. So this certainly is a long duration event. I'll get into some of the details about the potential for some high wind or some high waves rather, and some potential for some coastal flooding when I come back.
Well, Federal employees have until the end of the month to declare that they've been vaccinated or else. No COVID-19 shot will mean no pay and being forced into unpaid leave. I want to get some reaction now from PSAC, the Public Service Alliance of Canada. Colleen Coffey is the Regional Executive Vice President for the Atlantic region. She's originally from this province, from Labrador, and she joins us now from Greenwood, Nova Scotia. So, Colleen, the union not pleased with the lack of consultation, but overall, you're in favor of what Justin Trudeau announced yesterday. Have I got that right?
Yeah. You know, before the federal election, the government had told PSAC that there was going to be a policy after the election was completed and that they would consult with us. So you're right, Anthony, no consultation. I'll tell you, true government style tells us they're going to consult and then they don't. And in fact, what they did was Friday night around 5 o'clock gave us a couple of 100-page documents and said, here you go, and you have one business day to reply to us. So not true definition of consultation, but it is what it is. And yes, PSAC, would like a policy, and so in general terms, I guess, accept the policy. But I think it's a living document, and we're going to continue, hopefully, to work with the government on this, because I think it's going to change as time goes on, right?
Well, and I guess we'll know more about those changes once we get a sense of how your members are reacting. But I want to ask you a question. If I'm a member of PSAC and I'm worried about the vaccine, I don't want to say anti-vaxxer, but let's say vaccine hesitant for whatever reason, and I don't want to be forced to take it, will you file a grievance on my behalf?
So the short answer is yes, but the reason is because in everybody's collective agreements, there's articles on how to file a grievance. Anytime a member is disciplined, and if you're sent home without pay, that's a discipline, then they would follow the process in the collective agreement. They file the grievance, and absolutely they will be represented. That's what PSAC does. That's what union does. They represent the membership.
I get the sense that the union is obviously in favor. Do you have any sense as a union leader of an important union? I mean, you've got more than 13,000 members here, 180,000 or so across the country. Do you have any responsibility in a leadership role to educate the union brothers and sisters, the membership, that, hey, you know, the science is there, the vaccines are helpful? Any responsibility on that side?
Absolutely, I think so. And I think we've done that. Actually, new to our webpage as of yesterday are some very pointed questions that PSAC members probably want the answers to. And I mean, PSAC has said, and it's in our website, that everything has shown that vaccinations will help. But there are members will help to curb, right, COVID-19. Right. But there are members who cannot, and there are members who are really worried about it. So one thing that I did read in the policy is that, and what I believe members need to do is, if they're not vaccinated and they're worried about being vaccinated and what will happen, they need to have that conversation starting today with their manager. They can't wait till the very last day, October 29th. Right. Management is going to provide some training to members and hopefully, you know, the education. But I mean, we believe that what the world is telling us is correct.
Right. Do you have any idea how many of your members don't want to take the vaccine by the end of the month?
No, I don't, but I do get emails and lots of phone calls every single day. But what I do know is that the vast majority of our membership are vaccinated. In fact, we believe it's about 76%. And we got this information of all the polling that was happening before the federal election and polls that we did. And we asked our members about the importance of vaccination. And 80% of our members said vaccination was really important to them.
Colleen Coffey, appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Now back to our top story. 16 people are now in hospital with COVID-19, each with a family worried about their loved one. Louisa Higgins is living that nightmare. Her mother and stepfather are in the ICU on ventilators, fighting for their lives. Neither were vaccinated, and the experience has changed Higgins' own view on vaccines. She spoke with our Peter Cowan.
Louisa Higgins, thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much. Glad to be on the air with you.
First of all, just tell me, how is your mom and stepdad doing right now?
They are in the ICU in Grand Falls Hospital, and they are on life support, and they are really struggling to survive.
What's it been like for you, having to be so far away and not being able to be with them or even see them as they go through this?
You're gonna start crying. It's been very, very hard. Like, I can't hold her hand or see her or be with her, and I know that she would want me to. And I know that Cyril would love to have his family there too.
So take me through their journey with COVID. When did they first get it, and how did they get to the point that they're at now?
Well, I think it's day 11, I think, for them being tested positive, and they were sick a few days before that, and then there was a cluster at their church, and they had to go get tested on the second day, I think the second or third day that they were sick, and they tested positive.
And how big of a surprise was it for you and for them when they found out that they had COVID?
It's just a nightmare, because, I mean, you never expect it to be striking your own family. Like, when we think about the COVID, we think about, like, other communities or in Ontario or the States. We don't consider that it can hit us, like in our families.
So I want to ask you about your opinions on vaccines, because before this, you didn't get vaccinated, you didn't want to get the vaccine. Explain,
No.
what was your thinking?
My thinking, I was scared. I was scared because I didn't know and I still don't know what's into it, and I'm still scared. But with my mom and my stepdad and fighting for their lives, now I know I have to go get it, because if I get the virus, I'm going to be in the same situation they're going to be in. And I don't want that for my family.
And what is the message that you're hoping people will take away from what you and your family has had to go through here?
Well, you know, like, I know that people have their own opinion on the vaccine, and I respect that. But in saying that, if you don't get the vaccine and you do end up with the virus, you probably will be in the same situation that my mom and my stepdad is in. They're in the hospital, they're on life support, and they're fighting for their lives. So I'm just asking, please, go get your vaccine so you don't be in the same situation that we are in.
What do you think it's going to take in order to convince people like yourself, who might be a little reluctant, they might be a little bit scared about the virus, about the vaccine, in order to get them to go in and make that appointment or walk into that pharmacy to get the shot?
I think that they're going to have somebody on life support in order for them to change their minds, because that's how it changed my mind.
You think for some people that might be the only way?
I think so, because they're still not going to get vaccinated, and I hear so many people now even say, you know, like, we are still not getting vaccinated, and I'm like, well, like, that's your decision, but you are, and you will end up like my parents into the hospital that's on life support fighting for their lives right now.
Well, I wish nothing but the best for your family. I hope things improve, and I appreciate you sharing your story with me today.
Thank you very much.
Well, today marks the return of our series For the Love of Music, which brings you stories about songwriters, musicians, and music lovers.
And tonight, video producer Mark Cumby takes you to a St. John's music venue and bar, the Black Sheep.
The Black Sheep is definitely an important venue because on George Street in particular, there's nowhere else where people often sit down and listen quietly to music, and you get that a lot at the Black Sheep. There's lots of people who've said that they met each other at the Black Sheep, and they're good friends now, and there's definitely a community.
We're going down. We're going down, down. Hey.
I met my future bandmates, Jill Porter, Mark Neary, Mark Bragg, Crystal Drew. And I met most of them that first night or in those first couple of weeks that I came to St. John's, you know. So yeah, I've got so much, you know, I kissed my wife behind here for the first time ever. So yes, it has a lot of history, which is nice. That made it the transition from the original Black Sheep on Water Street, because everybody loved that, and that had a real magic because it was so small and always just the right people, and everybody loved it so much. They're like, no, you don't want to move the bar. But it was easier to come here with some, at least we have some history here.
Donnie and I just love the old Fat Cat, so much so that we took it over in April 2019.
This used to be a garage, and there's hanging off the ceiling there, and we can see it there, there's an old wooden tackle where they used to, and it's still there, they kept it there, where they used to take the engines out of cars. And then it became the Fat Cat, and they brought in all these blues guys.
Pardon me, what even have I done? Honey Boy Edwards, he played with Robert Johnson. You know, I mean, you can't get any better than that, really. Pine Top Perkins, Morgan Davis was there many times, you know. So, I mean, there was a lot of people coming in. And you had to, because you didn't have you didn't have enough people locally to fill the calendar.
I worked at the Fat Cat years ago. The owner offered me a job, and I just took it as a lark on a Wednesday night, and next thing I was working at the bar when Dennis Parker was playing on Wednesdays.
Is to travel. All I need is a ticket there. My journey's on. I've gotta get there. Out in this world again. Those Wednesday nights were really special because Mike Voigt owned the club then, and Mike was he worked at the university, he was a prof at the university, and also he had his own fishing business. So he used to provide there was a baby grand in the Fat Cat in those days, and he put on a big feed of smoked salmon every Wednesday, which was fantastic. I've been choking with the heat, freezing with the cold. I've got a sweet addiction, satisfy my soul. Blues was, I guess, was never a thing. When I came here in 71, it was unheard of, you know. So I started playing it, and people, you know, kind of took it up. And of course, that's when Clapton was getting big and stuff like that. So, I mean, you had that. Now, it's a whole different thing.
This room was my
This is my institution. This is where I learn music. I was very, very lucky because the music scene here was just so nurturing. It's not always the case that who's who was always here, but it was a very cool community, a very nice vibe, man, and everybody parked their egos. Well, in my teens, I played like 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I was very abnormal when it came to playing guitar. I never thought for a minute ever that I'd be contemplating in my head, what would I have, if I had to choose, what would I choose, walking or playing guitar? I just wanted to walk, man. You know, I couldn't walk. I was dragging my toes. Well, my limbs are not doing what my brain's telling them to do. I lost 2 or 3 guitar chords, couldn't play guitar. Turns out I had bulging discs. And what that means is the vertebrae shift and it compresses your spinal cord. And so went and had some surgery, bippity-bop, a couple of shiny new pieces in there. Guitar playing came back really fast, but I didn't know if I was gonna ever sing again. Because the surgery, instead of traditionally going in here, my surgeon went in through front. Yeah, and it took me almost 10 months or more before I could sing a note. It was over a year since I plugged in my Strat, and I came down here for Sunday Night Jam. Yeah, I don't know what it is, man. Sometimes it's a combination of just reflective surfaces, right? You got some brick wall over there, you got a backdrop, you got carpet, the height of the ceiling. Whatever it is, this room got mojo, let's say. A lot of mojo in this room.
You have the open mic nights, like people are getting on stage who would never have done that, but they feel safe there.
They were always, I mean, some beautiful times down there, you know. Certainly great memories.
I mean, this is a beautiful room. I love this room, and I love the musicians and the people that come here. But the real magic is in the transformation you see in people. You know, you often see people come in with a weight on their shoulders, and then the music starts, and you can see the difference. It's beautiful to witness, and the music does that, and this room is very special.
So we used to play over here in a corner with the rain dripping down on us, getting electrocuted. But we were making $50 a night back then. It was big money.
For as Fat Cat or the Black Sheep to now, we're very fortunate to still have this room as an alternative on the street to everything else that's going on. I'm not talking good or bad or better or best or nothing. I'm just talking about stylistically. This is an alternative where singer-songwriters can come and play. It's a musician's bar for sure.
It has been, and it continues to be, and it will be, I think, going forward, you know, one of the best locations and the best venues for live music in St. John.
Well, volunteers are transforming the trailway in Conception Bay North with new bridges, smooth rides, and by bringing in a new culture.
Adam Hindi is part of that. He hopes to turn the trail into an economic engine, much like the old train. Our Zach Gowdy brings you this feature.
People want to be able to go out and enjoy this and have this access to just get in a machine safely, get to the places where they want to go, spend some money, support the local businesses, and just go again.
It's made a huge difference to us, our bottom line as well, you know, with the amount of bikes coming in.
It's bringing a lot of tourists around too. We know people that are coming here from the mainland, they just like to walk the trail.
It's just the start. It's like this is seeding something that could last a lifetime.
My name is Adam Hindi. I'm the president of CBN Trailway, which got started in March 2020. The mission would be to just get this up to a safe standard, right through, from end to end, so people could come here from locally or from away and just enjoy this beautiful piece of history that we have left here. The Trailway is just the abandoned railway system of Newfoundland. There's various branch lines. This is one of the branch lines, where we have a main line that runs from St. John's to Port aux Basques, obviously, which is the Trailway Park. This is a branch line that went from Carbonear to North Shore that we're on here today. Some parts of the North Shore have been maintained over the years by just volunteers. They just kept it up, so we're a good right-of-way access. Some of it really needed some work. Fixing bridges that were just not there, gone, falling apart. And a lot of brush work, water management work, leveling, grade work and stuff like that. So like, it's been busy. We are in Broad Cove at the site of one of our bigger projects for 2021. It's a brand new construction of a bridge which replaces the trestle that has been removed. It's safe, it's enjoyable, it's sustainable, so everybody's loving the access now.
Oh my gosh, it's all cleared away now. A lot of it was rough, really rough, hard going. But since he's been at it, it's unbelievable what he's done.
Doing a wonderful job.
We're on Facebook all the time on the CBN Trail Facebook page, and people are always commenting on how wonderful job he's doing. It's great. I mean, you can get out on quads, bikes, horses, whatever you want.
Hi, I'm Sheila from Carbonear.
Hey, and I'm Adam Dove. The biggest thing for me is culture. Since it's been on Facebook, I notice a big difference now in just people being courteous, respecting everybody, riders, walkers, like you got people with dogs, horses, and I find a really big difference.
You know, Adam does a great job of kind of spreading the news of the projects going on and really appreciating the volunteers. It's absolutely invaluable what is being done, because these trails are going to be here. If we do this now before they're kind of buried, this could be something that will continue on into, you know, generations from now.
People are coming in from places that would never ever visit. Carbonear, Harbour Grace, all these places, and now they're coming just to go for a ride. I think we've seen lots of people that we've never seen before in the last year, just from trails being done up, worked on.
Hi, my name is Ray Dwyer. I'm the owner of Red Ochre Cafe here in Ochre Pit Cove. Just about every day here in the cafe, there's somebody different coming through the door. Getting a lot of people here off the trails. We started here in 2019, and we have occasionally someone from the trail, but since Adam came along and started doing some work on the trails, and we've been a supporter of that as well, there's bikes here now daily. And we also get people who phone ahead, book reservations for a group of bikes. You know, we've had so high as 20 people come in here. It's just one more thing to bring people to the area, and that's what we need. The more things we got here on the Bacaloo Coastal Drive to bring people in, that's what we need. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, I think, what Adam got started here.
Like it doesn't stop. Like it's really like all day long. You got to apply for permits. There's a ton of fundraising that goes into it. Just the social media part of it, keeping everybody informed. I'm really happy that my wife is patient and supports this. The train it basically grew this area through, the service it provided. It brought people from here to there. So we're here now reusing this perfect system, and we're turning it into something really amazing, like recreational wise, tourism wise, getting people out there for a healthier lifestyle. The train brought economic service and growth, and we're doing the same here now.
Well, earlier in the show, I was talking about the potential for some coastal flooding on the weekend. And the reason for that is because high tide on Saturday will be in and around 10 a.m. So on either side of that, along with those windy conditions and just showing the future significant wave heights here, you can see they start to creep up as we get in and around that time frame. Certainly Saturday afternoon, we're going to start to see some big waves. A lot of that wind wave from the system. We're still expecting those gusts upwards of 100 to 110, maybe even 120 kilometers per hour offshore on Saturday. So the reason for that is this area of low pressure. It is going to deepen through the day on Saturday, likely pulling away. It may pull some of the precipitation with it, but we could still see that rain continue through the day on Saturday. Still have to iron that one out. I'll probably have a little bit more detail on that tomorrow. But if that system does pull that rain with it, looks like by Saturday morning we could be seeing seeing that rain end with some sunny breaks in the mix the further west you go on Saturday. Monday at this point, or rather Sunday, Monday at this point looking like the most beautiful day of the long weekend for sure. But as you get into Saturday, temperatures are still going to stay pretty cool, single digits. They'll start to climb up though towards the west coast and then up across Labrador. Another beautiful start to the weekend, 14 degrees in Lab City through the day on Saturday. So back to those double digits. A whole lot better as you get into Sunday, back up to about 13 to 17 degrees for central and western Labrador. Temperatures will start to climb up again for the west coast as well. So most of the weekend actually fairly beautiful for you. But then again, eastern areas of the island still hanging on to those single digit temperatures along with that rain and those windy conditions. Winds still expected gusting upwards about 70, even 80 kilometers per hour. The wind warnings will likely end because that is below warning criteria. After that, look at that, Monday looking beautiful, 10 degrees at this point. Tuesday, gonna see some unsettled conditions as well, gonna keep that temperature in and around 10 degrees. And then for central Newfoundland, same thing as far as the unsettled weather goes. By late day for western Newfoundland, that's when you'll start to see some of that rain, but a high near 13 degrees or the low teens. Eastern Labrador, look at that. Absolutely gorgeous, 13 to 16 degrees as you get into next week, and then a little bit unsettled for western Labrador. We'll see some rain for Tuesday, but at 15 degrees, it's not that bad for this time of the year, that's for sure. Had to share this great shot. This is from one of my favorite trails, actually, from Flat Rock to Styles Path. There, yeah, great shot, Greg. Thank you for that. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Emerald water.
It's so beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Thank you so much, Greg. Well, that's it for us for this Thursday. Hope you can join us again tomorrow.
See ya.
Good night.